Sup, nerds? Welcome to Drunk Volta. Hey, oh, hey, oh. What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Justicar Logger, and today we've got something very special. Games Workshop has dropped their first preview of the upcoming Grey Knights Codex, going on pre-order this Saturday. And today I am drinking to celebrate some old Fourth World bottled and bond bourbon, 100% bottled and bond, 50% alcohol, made in Atlanta, 100 proof. And with that, cheers. If you haven't been keeping up with the rumors, if you're not plugged in on Discord and seeing the stuff that's floating around the Games Workshop hasn't told us, don't worry. I got you guys. Let's see if we can get through everything that is known and rumored about the upcoming Grey Knights Codex in the next 5 minutes. Starting off, we're just going to go over everything that was published in today's Warcom article. So, I present to you. Oh, such a cool picture they posted today. Confirmed shit, no cap. Everything you're about to hear in this segment is 100% confirmed by Games Workshop in their article. Now, sometimes the team writing the article gets a few minor details wrong, so bear that in mind, but this should all more or less be true. All right, the army rule has been changed to Gate of Infinity. Now, Gate of Infinity essentially is just the next iteration of Teleport Soul Army rule. We're not getting 1,000 Suns like psychic test thing. We're not going to be doing a bunch of morals all across the world like 1,000 Suns do, or casting spells or anything like that. So sorry if you guys got excited about the T Suns Codex and thought that we get something like that. I honestly didn't, because if you look at their index rule, it pretty much was the same as their Codex rule. It's just like more like organized into a traditional psychic phase now. So I didn't think they would deviate that far from Teleport Assault. But they did give us a small buff, and that being that instead of going into Teleport Assault, you now actually go back into reserves, which means you can every turn pick guys up, keep them in reserves if you want, and then rapidly aggress them later. So that's a solid buff that we got there. And the article also specifically mentioned that besides that, nothing else had changed. Now, they've gotten statements like this wrong in the past about saying that nothing's changed and things change. But inferring from that, we might be able to see that, we're still getting 3 epi downies rather than just 2. So a net buff on the army rule, changing it from going to Teleport Assault to going into actual reserves is what we can expect. Going to the what we know about the detachments, they revealed all the names of all 5 detachments. Some of them we got their army rules, some of them we only got a stratagem or 2. So let's go through it. The first one they talked about in the article was Brotherhood Strike. All right, the army rule for this is that each time a unit is set up via Deep Strike, which now includes your Gate of Affinity, Teleport Assault, reroll hits and wounds of 1 until the end of the turn. Okay, so a solid buff generally in Warhammer. And they also show Enhancedity, Pure Immediate Purpose. Each time a bear is set up via Deep Strike, reroll charge rolls for the unit. That's not very good, because if you're setting up with Deep Strike without any like other tools to set you up 6 or whatever, that's a 9-inch charge with a reroll that's less than 50%. It's like a 43 to 45% chance success rate. It's not a good risk to go. It's not a good enhancement to have. Stratagems. The stratagems here do look pretty good. Duty Unending. Put a unit back into reserves immediately after an enemy unit falls back from it if it's not engaged. So this is kind of like the new Diet Mist of Deimos, right? We're not going to be. It's not as strong as Mist of Deimos, but it is essentially like I tagged you. Now in your turn, you're going to fall back from me, so that you can get lit up and shoot me. I'll just Mist of Deimos after that. There's no restriction about being 9 inches away, but it does have to be off of a fallback move, not just them moving towards you. That's 1 CP. Then we get Expeditious Exit, which is a really cool one, which is put an infantry unit back into reserves at the end of the fight phase, and it can be within engagement range when you do this. This is awesome. This means that you get your super powerful squad, they charge in, they wipe something, but now they're in a fiery lane, boom, they're out of there. Or they charge something, it doesn't go quite well, half your squad is dead. If you stay in there, you're probably going to die and shoot the next turn. You can still pull them out as well. The one downside about this is it is 2 CP, and we don't have any 2 CP generation characters, so uh, if you're going to be playing this attachment just based off the limited stuff we have, you might be saving all your CP for Expeditious Exits, honestly. Or just like using Expeditious Exit or Duty Unending, whichever one you can at the time. But it does seem to be pretty CP hungry. All my thoughts on this are, reroll hits and wounds of 1 out of strike is great for ranged units, and we only have one of those, the Dreadnought. So this is probably going to end up being an NDK span detachment, barring some crazy data sheet changes to like the general side cannon profile or something. But that being said, would be a good NDK span detachment. We're going to talk about a rumor here that's not confirmed real quick. I know I said I wouldn't, but this is the only one in this section, I think. The Venerable Dreadnought is rumored to give +1 to hit for something it tags for a shooting phase. So with that, you can use the Vin Dread attachment to light up a target for +1, then use your Gate of Infinity on 3 Dreadknights and get 3 Dreadknights hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s into that target. So again, I see some play here as an NDK span detachment Brotherhood Strike, whether that's how it was intended to be played or not. The strats both look good, but of course, the 2 CP 1 expedition retreat, it does kind of suck that it's 2 CP instead of 1 CP. My final thoughts is that all in all, this one's a mix of offensive and defensive buffs. It's not quite as offensive as Warpbane. Reroll all hits is better than reroll one hit, one to win for sure. And it's definitely not as defensively good as Teleport Assault Force was, especially OG Teleport Assault Force. Mists of Deimos remains unmatched, and we have two kind of diet Mists of Deimoses in here that probably do not make up for the missing. But this one's kind of trying to be a balancing act between the two play styles we've seen so far. I think it might have legs, but we'll have to see what else is in its toolkit and what the data sheets look like before we know for sure. All right, the next one we have is the Algerian Task Force. Now, I'm really excited about this one. I think this one so far looks like it's the best one, guys. So this one, the rule is that I spilled all that whiskey on myself, and it's a stiff drink. Army rule, prescient redeployment. You can use one of your Gate of Infinity slots on a unit at the start of your movement phase rather than at the end of your opponent's turn. So that's actually really powerful. So in my opponent's turn, I only pick up 2 units. Then at the start of my movement phase, I can pick up a strike squad, for example, that's already sticky to an objective or giving me points in my command phase, and then pick it up and then put it down at the end of my movement phase. So it's really powerful. You'll already have drawn your secondaries, so you'll already know what you would need to pick up because you've already drawn your secondaries, and also allows you to score objectives before running away and potentially sticky objectives with strike squads before running away. Then you have a strategy, and that's only from your second round onward. You can use the army roll for that. But even in the first round, you can use redirected strike for 1 CP, which is upping down a unit at the end of your command phase. And it also specifically says after the scoring step of the command phase so they can score. So you can potentially uppy downy within the same turn 2 units after you already know what you need to do for secondaries and after they've already scored objectives. I really like this attachment. I think that it looks awesome. It's like, this is like the real successor to original Teleport Strike Force before it got nerfed to me, guys, before they changed the deep strike rules and this and that. And being able to up down a unit after stick objective on your home in turn 1 with redirected strike is super nice because it probably means you really only need to run 1 strike squad instead of 2 or 3 in order to get the max utility back, because you can sticky, immediately leave, go do a secondary, be good to go. It really reduces the amount of lower tier chaff units we have to take, which is great because even our lower tier chaff units are really freaking expensive points wise. And then another fun thing you might be able to do in here is like uppy downy after sticking an objective and then saving that unit and rapid ingressing it at the end of your opponent's next turn. So there's just a lot of, it really plays into the new Gate of Infinity. It looks like it's going to be a really strong, tricky detachment. And yeah, I like it. We'll see what it has to offer, but as of right now, even with the non-confirmed stuff, I think it seems like it's the strongest attachment that we have previewed. Then we have the Hollow Conclave. They said there's a lot of fluff in the Warcom article about how this was the Terminator attachment, but the only thing we got is a 1 CP Terminator Tank Shock. Boring. Terminator Tank Shock sucks. Next. Banishers. They said this one is the Psychic Detachment. The only thing we got in here is Hexrot Reprisal for 1 CP. At the end of any phase, a unit that took mortals but survived, roll a number of dice equal to the number of mortal wounds you took, and on 2 pluses, the unit that did them to you takes mortals as well to a maximum of 6, specifying that they'll be psychic mortals. Now that's cool. For one thing, it still sucks that being psychic is a debuff, because all that means is that people get feel no pains against us when they have psychic feel no pains. And 2, it's very, very unfortunate that the unit has to live until the end of the phase for this. So imagine like I'm a strike squad, right? Solo Typhus does like 6 or does, let's say 8 damage to me by spiking his flesh eater virus, right? I have a guy on 2 wounds, but I cannot at that point use this stratagem to do 6 mortals back to Typhus and kill him. Instead, my opponent, who's going to know that I have the stratagem, has the rest of his shooting phase to just kill that guy with like Plague Marine Bolters. And then by the time the shooting phase ends, he's dead. I can't use that stratagem. So the timing of the stratagem is very unfortunate. It would be way, way better if it was immediately after taking the mortals, or even just making me survive the mortal attack. But waiting until the end of the phase just gives your opponent way too much opportunity to finish you off, and it's not good. Detachment Safety Spearhead. Forgot a picture of this one. Whatever. This one is the vehicle attachment, the Dreadnought attachment. Although I think Battle Brothers or whatever looks better for nice based on what we've seen. They clarified that the army rule for this one is that each time. No, this is not correct. But the army rule for Saintic Spearhead is that it gives vehicles assault and they auto advance 6. So that's interesting because that kind of infers that the NDK advance and charge built in is going to be gone because they're going to need the detachment rule to get assault. So no more advance shoot and charge on NDKs natively. Instead, in this attachment, they get assault and auto advance 6. We'll have to see how the NDK profiles look, and if it's detached, does other things for them, like give them an advance and charge strat. But assuming that's gone, this could be net worse for NDK spam, the Brotherhood Strike, where you're uppy downing and shooting for the reroll ones to hit and wound. And even for Algerian, just with its tricks. So we'll have to see what else is in this toolkit and what all has changed with the NDK detachment sheet before we say if Sonic Spearhead is going to be a yes or a no. Rankings based on, so that's all, was all besides the thing about the Vindred official statements from Warcom. Based on that only, not getting to the rumors yet. We're about to get into the rumors right after this, guys. I would say Algerian Task Force is number one. It's potential S tier just based off the tricksiness of those two stratagems intermingling with the new detachment role. Looks really nice. Brotherhood Strike has C to B plus potential. Again, it might be the best one for Dreadnought spam just with its offensive buff for real ones to hit and wound. And it might, and the stratagem there looks pretty good too. I mean, it had 2 Diet Miscedaemoses, including pulling infantry out of combat for albeit for 2 CP, but it's still very, very powerful. And then Sadic Spearhead TBD, it could be D tier or S tier. We'll have to see what else is in it. Does it let Dreadknights move through walls? Does it let Dreadknights advance and charge through walls and do crazy shit like that? Banishers, all we got was a strat, but it was even though it was very situational and you got a strat dealing phase, it was still better than Terminator Tank Shock. So Hallowed Conclave, Terminator Tank Shock, you're in last place. Pouring out for the Terminator Detachment, y'all. I was hoping it'd be good, but it doesn't look like it so far. All right, and now for Whispers from the Warp. Now this one could be capped, guys. All this shit is from one screenshot or 2 screenshots from one DM conversation with some guy that have been floating around all the Discord. So take this with a grain of salt. Here's what he's saying. Here's what's getting passed around on Discord right now about the Codex. The Banisher's detachment rule is that you get to do a leadership test. You get to do like a dark pact for the Emperor, though, light pact for lethals or sustained, which would be awesome. Hallowed Conclave, the turn detachment rule, is that Terminators fall back and charge. Now you might be saying, well, that could be good. I get stuck in combat. Terminators fall back and charge, but Terminators also lose the lethals. Okay, they lose lethals and they get instead +1 AP on the charge, according to these rumors. So really, that detachment just kind of sucks, and it'd be better for them to just use the Banisher's detachment rule that's rumored in these unconfirmed Discord rumors, and they would still be able to Dark Pact for lethals, and then get their +1 AP as well. That's way better than fall back and charge. So, essentially, the Terminator attachment is not the best attachment for Terminators. It just kind of sucks, is what we're seeing in these unsubstantiated rumors. The Bro Champ changes from Fight First to Advance and Charge. Kind of makes him dead on arrival to me. Paladins go up to damage 3 on the charge, which is nice, very nice. Going up to damage 3 is better than Terminators going up to AP 1, if you ask me, especially because AP 2 pushes a lot of units in bowls anyway, especially anything that would have 3 wounds, like Custodies, Terminators, etc. Paladins get to res and have Apothecaries in squad, which is 6. So those two together, Paladins go up to damage 3. Paladins get to res the Apothecaries. Combined with in the Banisher attachment, Paladins get lethals or sustains, and they pick. And the Terminators losing the lethals by default and getting the +1 AP means definitively to me, Paladins have a space now and are better than Terminators. I'm very excited to run a max Paladin list if that's true. More rumors that indicate Cylinder's 18-inch range. Great, that's what I expected. It's multi-melta. Indicate Flail is bad. Okay, no word about the mace, but apparently the Flail sucks. Razorbacks give +1 AP against something they shoot. That is very spicy. We do have a lot of Bolter DACA that at AP 1 could be pretty spicy. I have a few questions about this that aren't specified in the rumors. Like, are we getting +1 AP to the whole army like a Predator? Or are we giving +1 AP just the unit that hopped out of the Razorback, like a change to the Razorback rule where it rerolls wounds? If it's the latter, it might even be a little bit of a debuff because rerolling wounds is nice on Brigaders. Although +1 AP is also nice on Brigaders, so we'll just have to see what happens there. Vindred gives +1 to hit against something issues. We talked about that. No True Silver or Armor Contempt anywhere in the Codex, which I think is fine. Ever since the nerf to True Silver in Armor Contempt, it hasn't been that good anyway. It's not carrying Miss anymore, or not carrying Teleport Assault Force anymore. So I think it's okay to let it die. Librarians give their squads 18-inch lone op, and they don't do any mortals or anything anymore. Now that one hurts. We wanted to feel more psychic. I know a lot of us, and this was our only unit that actually felt psychic. And now instead of doing our only psychic offensive attack that's actually any good, he's going to give not only just lone op, but an 18-inch lone op. So, that really blows. I'm going to be using triple Librarians in my next tournament, which is on August 2nd, the last one before the Codex will be live. It might probably be the last time I use them until the 11th, if this is the case. Purifying Flame up to AP2. Now that's nice. I assume it would still ignore covers. That means Purifiers kind of go burr. And then that would also mean that Purifiers hopping out of Razorbacks would go up to AP3, which is pretty crazy. And so definitely something to keep an eye on. And then Purifiers rule changes to reroll wounds rolls of 1 or all on objectives instead of the +1 to hit, +1 wound if they're below full or half strength, which is pretty great. It means Purifiers essentially can, just natively have Sanctified Kill Zone on objectives in all detachments. And it makes Purifiers very, very interesting, especially if that's true and Purifying Flame is AP2. And there was also a little bit about maybe the Brochant could lead Purifiers and advance and charge them, but that part was kind of mumbled up, so I didn't really include it here. So my thoughts on the rumors, right? Take this one with a big old grain of salt. Even let's take this one with a drink. Take this one with a drink. Cheers, y'all. All right. So on top of just being rumors in Discord chats, unlike previous rumors, I get the vibe from these screenshots that the guy making these rumors actually does not know that much about Grey Knights or is not a Grey Knights player. All right, he inferred that the Brochamp, what I was talking about before, where the Brochamp might be able to lead Purifiers. What he said specifically was the Brochamp can still only lead Strikes and Purifiers. Now the Brochamp has never been able to lead Purifiers in 10th edition. He's been able to lead Strikes and Purgation units. Now this is either one, an example of a non-Grey Knights player getting confused between Purifiers and Purgation units, which happens all the time, or B, just a sign that all these rumors are kind of total cap, all right? And just this guy wanted to like circulate around and like kind of make a laugh to see if it went places, which it is. We're talking about it, so take it all with a grain of salt. He also inferred that the Razorback would be cute with Inceptors. We don't get Inceptors. Did he mean Interceptors? How would the Razorback be cute with Interceptors? Because they're popping out using their Bolters AP1, hop back in. I don't know about that. But if they are true, the Dark Packs rule for the Banish section actually looks pretty sick. It makes me super excited about that. I'm honestly kind of half believing these rumors. I'll believe that one, and if that's true, it makes me even though I think Algerian is still probably better with its shenanigans, it makes me the most excited to play Banishers for damage 3 Paladins getting lethals with Dark Packs. Would be so sick. That's how I love to play Grey Knights. That's how I've wanted to play Grey Knights all edition. Purifier's getting a glow up and could be a must take 5-man Purifiers and Razorbacks. They're getting AP3 Purifying Flame and 2 special weapons, potentially 2 Incinerators that go up to AP2. Pretty sick. Purgation units getting extra AP, yeah, could be nice from Razorbacks, although Purgation units would get hurt by losing the reroll wound rule. But yeah, and Paladins would be better than Terminators, which would feel so good, and I'd be very excited to actually run my Kit Bash Leviathan upscaled Terminator Paladin Ancient, who has both a side cannon and a banner for the first time in a long time this edition. So my rankings, including, if we're believing the rumors, my rankings would be 1, Algerian Task Force, still potentially S tier. 2, Banishers, a solidly B to A tier with a lot of potential wombo combos for lethal and sustains, potentially with the Purifiers and their increased AP and reroll wounds, or with the upskilled and now finally elite Paladins. Brotherhood Strike really didn't get any more information about that one, so still C to B+. Safety Spearhead TBD, no really new information about that except for the Dreadnought Flail is bad, so maybe the Mace is good, maybe the rest of the profiles we have are still the same. Let's see what happens. And then Hollowed Conclave is now dropped from unknown 5th to solid F tier. Pour out another one. Let's finish our drinks for the Terminator Detachment. I'm not going to finish this. It's a stiff drink, but sip one for the Terminator Detachment. And that's all we got. I'll see you guys. I'll make another video when we get full links or when the Codex is actually revealed, whichever one comes first. We got battle reports coming up. We got some new podcast series. We're thinking about Drunk Bolter history. We're thinking about posting some shorts with Imperial IP Agent. Y'all stay tuned. See you nerds next time on Drunk Bolter. Cheers.